The atmosphere in the dry dock was thick with the scent of ozone and ancient salt. The RMS Queen Mary didn't just look like a ship, she looked like a dying god. The restoration project, codenamed Aegis 36, aimed to treat the rust not as physical decay, but as a cancer of time that had eaten into the ship's soul. Engineers moved like shadows under the glow of ultraviolet worklights, their footsteps echoing with a soft, hollow thud against the 80,000 tons of steel. To rebuild her, they used molecular suture technology, tiny, glowing nanobots that crawled over the hull like bioluminescent ants. As these bots worked, they emitted a low-frequency hum, a steady 40 Hz vibration designed to stabilize the metal's molecular structure. Zzz, click, zzz, click. The sound was hypnotic, a rhythmic pulse that felt like a digital massage for the ears of anyone standing within the dock's cavernous walls. Inside the engine room, the transformation was even more radical. The massive, dormant boilers were replaced with singularity cores, but housed within the original 1930s iron casings to preserve her dignity. When the first core was primed, it didn't explode into noise, it exhaled. A long, cooling whoosh of liquid nitrogen flooded the pipes, followed by a warm, golden glow that bled through the rivets. The ship's nervous system, miles of copper wiring, was replaced with fiber optic glass that pulsed with the same vibrant magenta and electric blue found in your original brain illustration. Every time a connection was made, a soft shimmering sound, like crystal glass being struck by silk, rang through the corridors. The ship was beginning to feel again. The climax of the restoration was the healing of the bridge. The captain, a man whose ancestors had served on the original Cunard line, placed his hand on the renewed teak wood of the steering wheel. The wood was no longer cold. It was vibrant, alive, with a faint internal warmth. Above him, the ceiling didn't just show the sky, it was a digital canopy of the cosmos, mirroring the psychedelic nebula of the stars. The text, "The Queen Mary, Why She Never Truly Died," flickered in bold, glowing white letters across the main monitor. As the final bolt was tightened, the ship gave a low-frequency moan, a sound of deep relief. The cancer of rust was gone, replaced by a neon-infused immortality. She was no longer a relic of 1936. She was the bridge between the past's elegance and the future's infinite energy. The departure was not marked by the splashing of water, but by the displacement of reality itself. As the RMS Queen Mary moved out from the Long Beach chronostock, her hull began to vibrate at a frequency that turned the surrounding air into a shimmering haze of violet. The ocean beneath her didn't part, it dissolved into a river of liquid starlight. This was the ether stream, a cosmic highway that mirrored the vibrant psychedelic space of your vision. Inside the ship, the ASMR experience shifted from the mechanical clinking of restoration to the fluid, sweeping sounds of movement. Swoosh, thrum, ripple. The sound of the ship gliding through the ether was like 1,000 silk veils being pulled over a mirror. Suddenly, the sky fractured. The ship entered the neural storm sector, a region of space that looked exactly like the panicked brain in your image. Massive, jagged bolts of yellow electric lightning began to strike the Queen Mary's shields. Crackle, snap, boom. But these were not destructive sounds, they were rhythmic, like a cosmic drum kit. Each strike of lightning against the ship's neon purple hull created a musical note, a deep, resonant chime that vibrated through the staterooms. The passengers didn't feel fear, they felt a digital massage as the electricity was absorbed and converted into pure kinetic energy. The text on the bridge monitors glowed brighter, pulsing in sync with the lightning. Navigating the chaos, the brain of the ship is steady. In the center of the storm, the Queen Mary revealed her true power. her 3 funnels began to exhale bioluminescent smoke, a thick, glowing mist of pink and orange particles that stabilized the turbulence.
See here,
The sound of this
on the
mist
forward
release
section.
was a soft, prolonged hiss,
Very good.
shh, a white
sign off on
noise
this
that
plate then.
drowned out the chaotic roar of the storm. The captain stood at the helm, his fingers dancing over the glowing Art Deco controls. The ship was no longer fighting the environment, it was dancing with it. The cancer of chaos that usually destroyed lesser vessels was being filtered through the Queen Mary's soul, turned into a symphony of light and sound. They were no longer just traveling, they were healing the very fabric of the space they moved through. The final leg of the journey brought the Queen Mary to the Foundry of Stars, the destination where the cure for the cancer within us was to be forged. The environment here was a cathedral of light, soft pastel clouds of yellow and cyan floating in a deep indigo vacuum. The ship slowed down, her engines transitioning from a high-pitched hum to a gentle, breathing purr. Woo, woo. It was the sound of a giant finally finding rest. As the anchors were dropped, not into water, but into the gravitational wells of the foundry, the sound was a majestic, echoing clink, clink, clink that resonated like a bell across the galaxy.
Look at that view.
The climax of the victory was
Absolutely
not a
stunning,
battle,
isn't it?
but a transformation. The Queen Mary began to broadcast her heartbeat to the entire fleet of humanity. This signal, a perfect 528 Hz frequency, the tone of DNA repair, flowed out from her bow in visible ripples of gold. The text on her hull shifted one last time, growing massive and radiant. The victory within. We have won. The sound of this victory was silence, a deep, profound, and peaceful silence that allowed every soul on board to hear their own breath. The internet-broken brains and the cancer-ridden cells of the old world were washed clean by the ship's resonant field. As the story concludes, the RMS Queen Mary remains anchored at the edge of the universe, a permanent monument of neon and steel. She is a living library of what happens when we stop fighting the lightning and start using it to power our dreams. The final ASMR sensation is the sound of the ship's lights slowly dimming into a sleep mode, a soft, melodic power-down chirp, followed by the faint, eternal ticking of the grandfather clock in the Grand Salon. The journey is over, the cancer is healed, and the stately lady of 1936 now sails the forever night, a vibrant, glowing beacon of hope for all eternity.
She is remarkably steady, isn't she?
Absolutely splendid. Not a hint of the waves.
Isn't the woodwork simply exquisite?
It is quite breathtaking, darling. A marvel of modern design.
Maintain course 280, Mr. Henderson.
Aye, sir. Steady on 280.